And now let us break this down and touch on the important aspects of this trade deal. We have our Kim Do-yeon here in the studio with us. Hello, Do-yeon.
Good to be here.
So, Do-yeon, what a buildup of a couple of weeks to this point, but officials say it's not done. What does that mean?
That's right. I mean, the dust is settling, and we now know a 15% tariff will apply. But as you mentioned, it's not over. Negotiations may be done for now, but the broader fight over tariffs and the investment details is far from settled. First, here's what the Deputy Prime Minister, Koo Yoon-chul, who led the negotiations in Washington, had to say.
A 15% tariff is undoubtedly challenging, especially for a country that has a free trade agreement with the US. But if our companies can leverage their creativity and competitiveness, this could turn into a new opportunity. While the broader agreement is done, we will continue to work out the specifics through further talks with the US.
Still, at least for now, the agreement was welcomed by Korea's 6 largest business groups, including the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Korea Enterprises Federation. They issued a joint statement backing the outcome, noting that the focus areas for investment, shipbuilding, semiconductors, batteries, and bio are strategic industries where Korea holds global competitiveness. Their hope, this will help Korean firms gain more market share in the U.S.
I see, Do-yeon, we have to talk about the Mascot project and also another $200 billion investment in the U.S. Let's cut to the chase. Is this a good deal?
To answer that, let's look at how the government frames it, especially in contrast to Japan, Korea's biggest competitor in the U.S. market. Japan recently pledged a $550 billion investment in return for a similar tariff deal.
South Korea has a trade surplus of $66 billion with the U.S., while Japan's is around $68.5 billion. Yet our total investment fund is smaller. If we exclude the $150 billion led by our own companies, our actual contribution is $200 billion, just 36% the size of Japan's.
Now that $150 billion refers to Mascot, a South Korea-led shipbuilding initiative seen as a cornerstone of this agreement. The rest of $200 billion will be largely controlled by the U.S. Seoul has been keen to highlight this structure to draw a distinction from Japan's pledge. Japan's $550 billion investment is like Korea's $200 billion investment, with U.S. leading it. President Trump, after Japan's deal announcement, said 90% of the profits go to the U.S.
But Do-yeon, in terms of tariff rates, South Korea enjoyed no tariffs so far, but it's now at the same level as Japan. What do we say? What do you have to say about that?
That's right. I mean, some may say all the investment but higher tariffs, but the FTA era is largely seen as over by many experts, and expecting to keep no tariffs was really a big hope. So the playing field might be leveled right now, and Korean industries will need to work on this going forward. Take a listen to an expert.
The real game has now started. This is because we only have the framework and a brief agreement. There isn't a detailed plan out there. Will this deal impact South Korea positively and lead to a boost in the domestic economy? That's the bigger issue.
But to highlight companies that will be impacted, it's the automakers. When it comes to cars, an industry with fierce competition, while Korean cars were tariff-free, their competitors, Japan and the EU, paid 2.5%. Now, that advantage has disappeared, leveling the playing field in terms of price competitiveness.
Do-yeon, I also have to point out how the deal came just 2 days before the hefty duties, were supposed to kick in. But now, tell us about the pressure and also the tactics that Korean officials used that we know so far.
That's right. South Korea, as one of the major trade partners with the U.S., was actually one of the last ones to finalize this deal. Having said that, the new administration only kicked off last month, and it needed some time to finalize the cabinet to form this trade delegation. And when that was started, the discussions with the U.S. and even within the Korean government weren't so easy.
They brought up various issues, things like the age limit for cattle and rice, which are already well-known points of contention. Naturally, there were heated exchanges. Even within our own government, when discussing negotiation strategies, there were raised voices between ministries.
Now, agriculture and livestock market access was a contentious issue, but was not included in the deal despite strong pressure from the U.S. There were concerns for Korean farmers leading up to the negotiations as well. Officials revealed that during negotiations, they presented a photo from the 2008 mass protests in South Korea against U.S. beef imports, which drew over 10 million demonstrators, reminding U.S. officials it's a red line for them. On another side note, while President Trump did not meet with any other trade delegations, he made time to meet with South Korean officials. He later said this was a sign of his respect for South Korea.
All right, relief for now, but lots of hurdles and challenges to tackle in the coming weeks and months. Do-yeon, thanks so much for the coverage tonight.
Thanks for having me.